So I think we're here on the 5th turn in Galactic Destiny. Gonna give things a start. Gotta grab, I guess a few event cards first. Let's see what these are. A return to nature. The Coalition of Stability must immediately roll a die for each of its senators in play. On a roll of 1, they immediately join the Green Spiral Party. Coalition for Stability. I can't remember the names and the colors. I know that's these purples, and the green spirals, of course, the green. So let's start these and see what happens. Yep, there's one. I can't grab it. There's another one. So I'm going to have 2 of these. That was easy. We shift over here, and we're seeing that's a pretty major switch from purple to the green. Purple feels pretty much hosed by that, actually. And I'm guessing that there are duels like that through the deck, but it's kind of odd. Group Medication. The Transcendent Mind Party Senators do not gain corruption this turn regardless of their actions. All current corruption and shadow on TMP have their effects, both good and bad, negated for this turn only. The infestation cannot spawn in TMP-controlled sectors. Draw another sector, I guess, if you draw that. I don't know what the TMP is. That's the blue ones. And I'm probably going to put that over with their abilities at some point, just because that is going to be hard to remember, especially if I take breaks in the turn. A gathering of humans performs a rite of ancients. If your party controls a human, remove all shadow and corruption tokens from all senators you control. Well, only one player actually has. This guy paid off his shadow with a card. Only one has this. He has no human, so did he lose a human? No. So he's not really affected by it. Now we draw 3 sectors for where the campaign is going to be. And let's see what we get here. Gnostica base. That's sector 59. Out here, 28. That's theirs. They have just lost one of their sectors. Poor purple. And sector 35. I have to find. Actually, no, that doesn't become. That just flips over. So it's available. What was the last one? 35. And again, that's not expressed in the rules to flipped over side indicating a campaign or what, if there's anything special there, but it does seem reasonable. All right. The rest is mainly bookkeeping, so I'm going to roll the dice for a K-Ra or whatever, but we only have 2 corruption tokens on the board, so there's no pluses this time. And we don't get a high enough roll, so there won't be an outbreak. And the game is there's less opportunities without the outbreak, I think, for the military expansion. Players have to actually take a hit for that. Of course, red can go do that and attack someone without paying a corruption hit. They're still doing something illegal, though. Going into the Senate phase, purple clearly pulled a lot of points. You can take a look. They got something like 18 influence this turn, and they hadn't spent any last turn, so now they're at 36 influence. They also have 20 money, which actually is surpassed by someone who shouldn't have been. God damn it. I'm having so much trouble with white and yellow for some reason. I counted white, put them in yellow, then moved them to white. Then I counted yellow and put them in white. Yellow is at 4, 2, 9, 3, 12, 6, 16, 8, 20, 10. So we'll take that off them and put it here. And yellow is also producing a good deal in money, especially. They have a lot of valuable sectors. Now, at this point, there is a particularly valuable sector up here with 12 money. Money seems more important than an influence in terms of buying fleets and the senators, but influence is really valuable in those campaigns. Purple can pretty much go in and campaign somewhere, which, remember, isn't illegal as long as they're following the cycle of campaigns, and take over whatever they like with that huge influence bonus. They can also, though, sway votes in the Senate. Problem? Well, they're down to 2 senators. Yes, they have a lot of power on the board right now, but they don't have a lot of ability to expand with 2 really crappy senators, actually. All right. Well, I guess we'll start with the Senate phase at this point, and be back in a bit. So here we're done with the senatorial phase, and basically a coalition between blue and yellow, or blue and green, was formed, with red willing to participate, although not terribly in support of green, but kind of coming to a warming, and green's making themselves another enemy. But to begin with, blue and green accepted that wiping white's forces out, using the Republic Navy for that, was not a bad idea, and they sent the Navy out to take 2 areas from white. White's going to have a hard time defending against that. They may be better off just trying to expand elsewhere. It's the nature of the rebellion. They don't have as many forces to face the whole Republic. Okay, well, that's a great idea and everything, and that was voted on and allowable, although not explained in the rules that it's allowable. But again, it's a rebellion, man. It should be crushable, right? You've got to use a lot of leeway in this game, as I've said a number of times. Okay, but then the next thing, nobody really had any proposals to make. There's no money that the Republic needs, so a decision was made to make the green player decided to go after yellow. Blue or purple lost all their leaders, and purple's not thrilled with green either, and maybe like trying to talk to yellow about, hey, let's take this guy out now. But even though purple's well in the lead and may actually still be in pretty good shape, although with a low number of senators, the feeling was that yellow needed to be squished because they had almost as much power and a lot more senators. After that event card, it seemed of value. Well, what happened? The prosecutions were declared against the 2 office holders. Yellow's reaction to this was to use their Minister of Finances to audit the entirety of Green's people. Now, this costs an influence each, so it's not free, and all they ended up getting out of it was 1 little corruption token on someone. On the other hand, Green managed, through the prosecution mechanism, to get this guy removed from office and charged a fine of 5 money, which I think I already assessed. So that's where we are now, going into the intrigue phase, where we'll see the navies and the campaigns taking place. So the decisions as to where to position the fleets are made, and I have to apologize. With the window open, the construction yard next to me is blaring the radio. Okay, so let's take a look at what some of the decisions were. Red has decided to use their special power, which is they don't gain corruption for making an attack. So they're just absorbing into here. They're going to, try to build up their own sector. They don't think that they're a real target right now, so they can get away with this. They're not getting the corruption. It's not doing any long-term harm. So nobody should be too pissed at them. Of course, chances are somebody's going to try to prosecute their person giving the orders, as it were, even though they didn't send her as an admiral. Purple? Well, we already sent the Republic after White. Well, Purple went in after their last territory. Now, White pulled their fleet out and attacked Purple with it, which they've kind of been agreeing to do. This is why it's happened, is Purple said, look, leave me alone. I'm just going to wipe out White. I've got the fleet. I've got an early enough position. I can do this. Red maybe didn't have the fleet to do it. Green pulled back. Doesn't want corruption, and actually most of the players follow this. Blue doesn't have a fleet, really. Yellow also pulled back into a defensive position. They committed one of their admirals to their kind of home area over here because it's got a special bonus that they like, the cheaper senators. And then White moved in to here. They could have probably gone for a better target, but they've got a lot of pluses here. They didn't want to actually fight a fleet, but they could have probably gotten something down here. But basically, this is what a rebellion is beginning to look like, is someone is going to just be fleeing from place to place. It may be getting one territory a turn, but not really able to do much, especially as long as the Republic's fleets are committed against them. Now, White was looking kind of powerful with 3 territories and the rebellion card. That's scary to the other players, and that's why the fleet moved in. Alright, I'll take care of the attacks and come back. So the elections are played out, and nobody went out here. That was just too difficult to attack, actually. But fighting Purple was hard, too. Purple put in over $10 to solidify this, and they got that fairly easily. Somebody played against them. Blue, I think, but it was just throwing money away, essentially. And then yellow and green attacked Purple's home area, but Purple had enough points to defend that as well. Probably, if anybody had had enough points, going out here was the more sensible option. The points weren't there to take on what Purple has accumulated. They haven't been spending a lot of influence, and they've got so many planets, they've been getting a lot. So right now they're at 2, 4, 6 planets, having gained another one this turn, and are really looking like a threat. People have to move against them. Now we go to the bookkeeping. I'm going to buy the ships and senators. And most of the players feel like they have enough senators. They don't really want to pay a lot for more of them. We did have Purple spring money on this Damid to replace the large numbers that they lost. He gives him a bonus in diplomacy. He's a 7-point diplomacy, an 8-point combat leader. Very good leader. Very, very valuable. Spent a lot on him. Didn't get any navies, but he's looking at... He's not going to be able to win with the navies. Basically, that's going to tie things up. He'll be able to take a province away from White, but as we can see, White can campaign again, even in the provinces had taken from them. So, again, loose rules here. Hard to tell whether that's intended or not. But most of the others looked and said, I've got a pile of leaders, I'm going to buy ships, which is, of course, good for Purple with their shipyards. They pulled $8 in on ships, essentially. Well, maybe 7. From other players buying them. White needed another senator. They want someone who can actually do something better than at even. In this case, they failed. They got a very cheap one, but at least it allows them to do 2 campaigns in a turn if need be. They don't really have the kind of influence to manage that, though, so they'll probably use one as a military leader. They also built a ship. Most of the other players built ships. Red just couldn't afford to buy another senator, and they would have liked to have saved up, but they kind of need ships too. They felt a little weak. Blue obviously needs ships. They could be knocked out again off the map very easily. Alright, so we'll move into the second turn of this cycle.